In the last 12 months, I have written over 400,000 words of fiction. In this video, I'm going to break down all the lessons I've learnt and what I'm taking into the future, starting with number 1, the balance of depth and volume. This is a good one to start off with because this is actually day 2 of the writing challenge I'm doing, where I am writing every single day and making a video. This is the video for day 2. So throughout this video, you're going to see my writing progress for today as well. But the balance of depth and volume. You see, I strongly believe in the truth that to get good at anything, you need to do lots of volume, especially at the beginning. And I have been writing for, coming up to 20 years now. Since I was very, very young, I've been writing fantasy stories, but I have only ever officially put out there, published before this year, one story, one book, and that was in 2019. I wanted to start publishing. I wanted to get my books out there. So in November of last year, I told myself that, I used to be a tennis player. To get good at tennis, I played all day, most of the days, constantly for years. To be a good writer, I wrote constantly over many, many years. But to have a successfully published book, I felt, I should follow the same. I just need to publish lots of books. I know how to write, but I need to understand marketing and cover and just understand the publishing world better. So I challenged myself to publish 3 books a year, self-publish 3 books a year, starting with 3 in 2025 for the next 3 years. I thought if I do that, then for sure I will eventually get a very successfully published book. However, I was mistaken because it's a different game, publishing. The skill is not in publishing, it is in the writing and creating books themselves. So I set out with that goal, and that was in last year, November. So I was like, in 2025, I'm going to publish 3 books. I wrote a novella in about 2 months, November to January, the first draft. Then I started to edit. And I realized I had rushed it. There was so much lacking from the book, from the depth, from the world building, the characters, everything. It was actually not bad because I can write, but it could have been so much better if I put more time to it. But I thought, I'll try fix it in the editing. But the mistakes were so structural to the story that I couldn't really fix it in editing. So I had to rewrite, and on the rewrite, it went from about 17,000 words to 50,000 words. And I didn't even want to publish it for reasons I will get to a bit later in the video. But what I learned is, specifically in publishing, it's not necessarily about publishing as many books as you can if you're playing the quality game. It is about writing as much as you can, which I was already doing and which I've continued to do this year, hence the title of this video. But in specifically publishing for quality, it's better to go in depth into the story you are creating and then do that many, many times. You can publish 1 book a year or less, but there is a balance. It doesn't mean never publish anything, but it doesn't mean necessarily try and publish 3 a year like I decided to. It is a balance. Lesson 2, sometimes rewriting is better than editing. This goes back to that same novella turned novel. When I was trying to edit the novella, I thought I could fix the issues just by editing, but when the issues of the story are so fundamental, are so part of its whole structure, going right down to the plot, to the characters, to everything, then instead of trying to wrangle with this edit and fight against it, sometimes it is better to rewrite. But it does depend on your goal, because sometimes it's better to start something new instead of rewriting the same thing. When you want to 100% publish a specific story, a specific novel, ideally further in your career, when you have written a lot of novels and you finished it and you can finish a book, if you have a specific story that means a lot for you that you want to get right, then it makes sense. If you've written the first draft, maybe the second draft you're trying to edit and it just is not working, starting from scratch with a rewrite makes sense. But if you're earlier on in your writing journey, if you haven't finished 8 books fully yet, then don't bother rewriting anything. Just go on to the next thing. But if you have finished 8 books, at least you know you can finish, you know you can write a full book, and you really do want to get one particular story right, then I would say it's a good idea to rewrite it. But again, like everything when it comes to writing, the answer is it depends. But these are the lessons that I have learned personal to my journey this year specifically. The third lesson I learned this year is to trust my creative instinct. So a lot of the lessons came from that novella turned novel. I have been working on a series, a big fantasy series, since 2016. This series has gone through many iterations, many changes. I consider it my magnum opus. I probably will not be releasing anything else. I have released some things connected to it, but I will not be releasing anything else connected to it probably for a while yet. But earlier this year, I had a similar mind where I was like, I have, some things written of this main series, but I don't want to release it yet. I want to be able to release the main series when I have more resources, when I have more experience. So I thought, what's a good idea to build those things? Write prequels. So the novella turned novel that I was writing was a prequel to this main series I've been working on for 9 years at this point. And as I was writing this prequel, when I was turning it into a novel, I realized, wait a second, a lot of my ideas and my plans from the first book of the main series was seeping into the prequel. It just felt muddy. It felt like I was repeating things. It didn't feel like my creative energy was creating new. I felt like I was pulling from something else and pushing it in this just to expand on this tiny story that I shouldn't have written in the first place. I struggled with it. I struggled with whether I should stop, whether I should continue. And eventually, thankfully, I decided, you know what? This has been good practice for me. I'm gonna stop on this. I got to 50,000 words. It actually wasn't finished technically. I stopped that, took a little break, and then I started writing the official book 1 of the main series, and that first draft turned out to be amazing. So I am so happy I stopped with the prequel and just went into the main thing. So this is to say that oftentimes your creative instinct is right. If you feel like something's not right, even though it might necessarily not fit logically, but you just feel that you should be doing something else, think about it. Don't just always do it off, because sometimes we'll feel things that goes against our goals. For example, if we want to finish a book and we constantly feel halfway through writing that we should start something else, eventually it becomes a pattern, and that feeling, that creative instinct, is actually stopping us from achieving our goal. So you have to balance it, and you have to pay close attention to how you feel and the reasons why. But again, it depends where you are in your career. If you know you finish books, if you have proof that you finish books to yourself, that you're consistent to yourself, then trust your creative instincts, because likely you know what you're doing. Lesson number 4 for me is the importance of creative variety. So this is very personal. This may not apply to you. Everyone is different, but for me, I find it difficult to stay writing in the same world or in the same series for a long time constantly, and I probably will have to work on this. I stopped writing the novella turned novel in about February, March. Then I went from that to having a break in about March, and then in April I started on the book 1 of the main series, which was the same world as the previous one. I wrote that, I finished that first draft, and then I went into the second book immediately, and I felt like I needed a break from that world. Keep in mind, not only was I writing another book with a co-author, and still am writing, but I was writing short stories for my YouTube at that time, so I did have some variety. But I felt I had spent so much time in that world that I needed to go in depth into something else for me, for my creativity. So I created another series and I started writing that, and that's what I've been writing this summer, and this is going to be made specifically for YouTube, which I'm really excited about that, but that's coming later. But I worked on that for a while, and now I'm working on the book I'm currently working on. And after I have finished this book, I will probably go back to my main series for book 2. For me, that's what works. I like to change the worlds, change what I'm doing creatively, change the writing style, change the themes. But it works for me because I have a long-term plan, and especially my main series, I'm not planning to publish it soon, so I can take breaks and write other things. And it's actually imperative that I do write other things because I do want to be publishing in the meantime. You may be different, but this is a lesson that I've taken for me, that I need some creative variety. Lesson 5, I have touched on a little bit, but I want to go more in depth. It's the importance of consistent volume. To get good at something, you have to do it consistently, and you have to do it a lot over a long time. That is the equation of improvement, of success. It's doing something often, a lot, over a long time. That is it. I will do seasons. I'll have a project. I want to write this book, and I will write 4 hours a day, every day, or sometimes 1 day a week I will have break. It depends on other things I'm doing during that time. And I will do that until I finish that project, and then I will have a break. I call it seasons of work. I have seasons of work, maybe 3-4 months where I'm working close to constantly all day, every day, and then I'll take a week to 2 weeks rest where I'm completely disconnected. That's how I have been able to write 400,000 words. Is the backbone of everything I do. And I'm taking that to YouTube now with making a video a day, because I want to get better at making videos. So I'm upping the volume of me making videos. You need that structure, but you also need that sustainability, and everyone is different. For me, it works to do it in seasons, how I'm doing it. For you, it might be 5 days a week, 2 days rest, but you can do that constantly for a year straight. For some people, it's 2 hours a day. For some people, it's 4 hours a day. I would argue that you can develop the ability to do more. So if you have the time, maybe before work, maybe after work, weekends, as much as you can, I would argue that you can probably get to 4-hour blocks if you have the time. If not, if you have 1 hour a day free, then just do the 1 hour a day. But the goal should be to do as much as you can, as often as you can, for as long a time as you can. There was times during the year where I was doing 6 hours a day of writing, but I found that after about 4 hours, my output decreases in quality. Not only do I slow down in my output, but it decreases in quality. So then the next day I would come, and often I'm having to rewrite what I wrote in the last 2 hours the next day, and it actually slowed me down overall. So I found about 4 hours in a day is the sweet spot where it's the most I can do without any degradation of quality. I do believe, like pretty much anything, work is a skill, and maybe in the future I will be able to do even more without decreasing the quality, but it's not a goal of mine necessarily. Right now, I think 4 hours is great, and that's what I'm doing, but it's about the consistency and it's about the volume. Lesson 6 is that excitement can be a double-edged sword, essentially. So I get really excited when I'm writing, especially about particular scenes. Sometimes when I have a great ending or I have a great scene, I want to get to it, I want to write it. However, I tend to, in general, write in chronological order. Not everyone does, but I start at the beginning of the book and I write until the end. And I get really excited. So if the scene I'm really excited about, for example, might be in the middle or something at the end, I can find myself actually rushing through the other moments and not giving them the attention that they deserve, because every part of the book that I put in serves the overall purpose of creating an amazing story. and everything needs to be given the attention it deserves. In the main series that I've been working on since 2016, I haven't started editing it yet. The first draft is done, but when I looked back at it, I realized that I was so excited to reach a few scenes throughout the book that I was rushing other parts. And looking back, I realized that the scenes that I was excited about don't hit as hard because I didn't give attention to the scenes before that really build up the emotions for those scenes to hit the way I was excited about hitting. So actually rushing through the scenes before the ones I'm really excited about made the actual scene I care the most about worse. And that has been a big lesson for me. I think it's also just that I'm a very competitive person. I want to do the best always. And that includes, like, if I have a book that I'm writing, naturally I'm like, I want to finish it. I want to get it done and then move on to the next thing, move on to the editing, move on to the next book, do this, do this, do this. And sometimes I need to take a break. That's good. That is good. But I need to take a break, take a breather, and just give it the attention it deserves. Because in the long run, I'll be moving faster by moving slower. And that's something I'm taking with me on this book I'm writing now. There are scenes I'm very excited about writing, but it can wait. I've developed patience. They can wait for when I get there. For now, every single word I'm gonna focus and make that word the best it can possibly be. Those are the 6 or 7, I think I lost count at the end, lessons that I've learned from writing over 400,000 words this year. I don't know in the edit if I'm gonna put my daily writing after this, or if I'm gonna be splicing it in between. We'll see. But so either continue watching or watch this next video.